Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to the Lineup HQ Breakdown Show. We're coming to you from the past, talking about the future, but we're going to give you the goods. And I am joined by one of the sharpest tournament minds in the biz. It's John Breslin, aka SquirrelPatrol. How are you, Squirrel?
Good. It was a good All-Star break. I had a whole list of things I thought I was going to do and didn't do any of them. Baseball's back already, so it's good to play some tournaments.
Yeah, it's a short-lived break, really. It really was just, like a handful of days and back at it, right?
Yeah, I thought it felt like it used to be longer. Like I thought it was like a full week in the past.
I did too. I was expecting, but all right. Well, Here we are. And we're starting off on a weird one here where it's like a split slate. There's multiple double headers. It's kind of a weird day to get back to it. But the plan, correct me if I'm wrong, is 3 games, first 3 games. That's the main slate.
Yes, exactly. I think both sites, that's the main slate. And it's weird. It's 3 games. 2 of them are game ones of double headers. And I think today's slate, I think the All-Star break was maybe supposed to be longer, but some rainouts that happened like in the season already or like weird travel stuff, they had to create some of these games. I believe that's what happened.
Okay, so that's blaming the weather. Yeah, blame the weather and the weatherman. I see where it's going. Okay, well, here's the good news on that. There is no weather concerns for this slate of games. The weather in Oakland's pretty good hitting wise. It's decently warm, winds blowing out at 10, but nothing spectacular. So let's just talk about these plays, and you can either zoom out in general or you can just get right to the pitchers. I know we've got a limited pool to choose from here.
Sure, just like a general slate overview, I'll say this is, it's a weird slate because it's only 3 games. Both games are game ones of double headers. Obviously the first day back after the All-Star break. And so there's some stars that are like not in the lineups. So I think some of the teams are maybe giving their guys who had to travel for the All-Star break an extra day. So Corey Seager's not in the lineup for the Rangers, like Giancarlo Stanton's not in the lineup for the Yankees. We'll see as like the lineups for the 3 p.m. games come out, if there's any impact there. It's one of the least differentiated slates I can ever remember where like everybody's the same. You do have the Yankees, and they're obviously a powerful lineup, but they're also facing the best pitcher probably on the slate. And it creates this like equalizing thing where like almost everything's the same. So, but we'll see that as we go like through the positions.
Okay, well, I'm intrigued to hear, if there is chalk or if you're just playing whatever the heck you want because everything's kind of the same. So let's go position by position and we can start a pitcher. You mentioned the best pitcher is against the best offense.
Yes. So like Christian Javier's had, I think 3 double-digit strikeout games in his last 4 games.
He's killing it.
And like some really like big numbers there. I can see it in his game log. But he's facing the Yankees, so I don't think he's going to be very highly owned on either FanDuel or DraftKings. And that actually makes him one of my favorite pitchers on the slate. There's only 6 of them to begin with, but I don't think he's going to be very highly owned because I think people are going to play a ton of Yankees. And I don't think that is necessarily showing in our ownership either. I've always found, this is like highly anecdotal, but that the New York teams tend to be higher owned on day games than we anticipate, like because we do all this numerical stuff, but you can't like change the fact that a lot of people playing in these tournaments are going to be at work. It's going to be probably a more casual field than we're used to.
Mm-hmm. Okay, interesting. All right, so you like this, who you think is the best pitcher against the best matchup, but there's other guys who I'm seeing have a whole lot more little color balls, like your boy Screwball over there.
Yeah, so like Detroit and Oakland are 2 of the worst offenses in the league, and they're facing each other in the 3:00 game. So I think Screwball will be pretty popular, and it's really hard to argue against anyone. Like I said, like everybody's about the same. Like if you take Christian Javier against the Yankees, and his strikeout performance is probably an outlier over the last 4 games. If you take him against the Yankees, it kind of equalizes him against all these other guys. I actually like probably second best, like Pablo Lopez is facing the Rangers. I don't think people are going to want to play a Marlins pitcher that much. But Corey Seager's not in the lineup, and that takes a lot out of the Rangers lineup. Probably the second best guy then is like Garcia, and then like Marcus Semien. So I like Pablo Lopez. I don't think he'll be very highly owned. like he's a little bit more on the safe side, obviously, than Christian Javier facing the Yankees. But that's probably my second pitcher I'd look to get over the field on.
Interesting. So are you okay going like Javier and Lopez together, or is that too risky? Is that fine?
I think that should be okay. I haven't really priced it out yet on DraftKings. That doesn't leave you a ton of salary. But like I said, some of the most expensive hitters are not on the slate, or not in the starting lineup. So I don't know how badly you need that salary.
Gotcha. Okay. Any other names you want to throw out there, or is just like, hey, they're all okay, everyone's fine? Is there anyone you don't want?
Probably Jordan Montgomery is the guy I want the least as a lefty facing Houston. And I think he'll see ownership just because he's on the Yankees in a day game, and people will want to play. People want to play, the Yankees. And he's got like some like minor name value, like people will recognize that name. And so he's probably the guy I'm least interested in. I mean, we're showing like less than 10% ownership anyway. Zach Logue for Oakland. I believe he's a rookie. He hasn't shown a whole lot so far in his rookie season, but his best game was actually against this Detroit team. So I'm not going to probably be even the field with him if I'm multi-entering.
Okay. Well, let's go position by position. And in fact, before we do that, if you want to talk your favorite stack, that's fine. I think you've already mentioned you think the Yankees will maybe come in as the highest owned stack.
I think the Yankees will be highly owned. It's not showing that way in our ownership percentages, but I'll definitely, if I'm multi-entering, I'll have some Yankees, just in case the ownership does match up to what we are projecting. Then I'd probably want to be over the field on them. Aaron Judge is interesting because I think we're projecting him at like 50% ownership, and at 50% ownership on any hitter, I would exclude him from my lineups and just go bet him to hit a home run. Like I think he's plus 220 to hit a home run on FanDuel. So just go bet that and exclude him from your lineup, and then you've like really differentiated yourself from half the field, and you've still got some coverage if he goes berserk. Like he's probably not going to hit the optimal lineup without a home run.
I love it. Okay, that's great advice. All right, let's talk about what we're doing here. Oh, do you have a favorite stack outside of what you mentioned with New York?
Probably Detroit, and they've got a lot of dots. I guess you can see in the lineup HQ. But the lineup's not going to come out probably until close to lock, or maybe even after lock. I think that's really going to suppress ownership. And it's Detroit. Like they're not like people are not going to want to play them as much as maybe we see with the ownership percentages.
Well, I'm looking at their projected run total, like 3.13 projected runs. That doesn't sound great. I don't know much about baseball, but that doesn't sound great.
And it's really interesting because no team has a really high projected run total. I think Houston's the highest. And so I think that'll lead some people not to stack. And I would actually encourage you to stack a lot. Like stack as much as you normally would. Because even though the implied run totals are all at like 4, like some team will probably still put up a good amount of runs.
Gotcha. Okay. You want to knock out position by position real fast for everybody?
Sure.
Okay, let's go to catcher.
So I probably like Eric Haas the most. I mean, he's got the red dot there. None of these guys are world beaters. So you're probably going to just like go with whatever team you're stacking. But I like Eric Haas the most. He's got the best home run prop. He's got the most, reflective of him having the most power. He's got the platoon advantage against the left-hander. So I don't think he's going to be like incredibly highly owned. I think there's some backup catchers as well. Like I think Houston's playing their backup catcher rather than Maldonado. Corey Lee. So I would just go really with whoever you're stacking. But if you're looking for like a cash game option, I'd probably like Eric Haas.
Okay, first base.
First base. Let's see. So I think Anthony Rizzo with the Yankees, he's going to be the highest projected. I would guess he's probably going to be the highest owned as well. I like maybe the idea of going with LeMahieu, I guess on DraftKings, he's multi-position eligible. I think most people are going to go, if they're doing a Yankee stack, probably going to go with Rizzo. Yeah, I mean, it's only 6 teams, right? So I I probably like LeMahieu the best in terms of ownership, and then Rizzo, yes, is going to be the highest projected. I guess, yeah, Matt Carpenter as well.
Yes.
He's hitting cleanup today with Stanton out of the lineup, and he's really expensive, and so I think that'll suppress ownership somewhat. Although, yeah, we've got him at 36%. It'll be interesting to see. I don't know if Miguel Cabrera will be in the lineup because with teams, I know he was traveling for the All-Star break, but I kind of like Detroit as a stack. So either Cabrera or maybe Candelario if he's in the lineup.
Okay. Yeah. Matt Carpenter, it is important to note, is the greatest hitter in the history of the game, at least according to Cheese and according to his stats this year, which have been insane. Okay. Second base.
So let's see. Second, Javi Baez. I mean, he's got the whole rainbow there. But I don't know if he'll really be that highly owned. So I'm not going to shy away from him too much. Even though, I mean, yeah, we're showing him at close to 50% ownership. I think, Jose Altuve obviously is going to be really highly projected. I like Gleyber Torres. I think he's in the lineup, and he's got some power. So I don't mind Gleyber Torres. Then after that, maybe like Marcus Semien, just because I think he's in the Rangers lineup. And he's got the power. He's got some power. So probably my third favorite second base option.
All right, take us to third.
Third base. The man, the myth, the legend at third base, Matt Carpenter. At least I believe on DraftKings third base eligible. Alex Bregman, he's got the platoon advantage. He's going to be highly projected. So like Bregman, Carpenter, Bregman, Aledmus Diaz, he's probably going to be a little bit underowned. I think we're showing him about 12% ownership. Like I do like the Astros as a stack. I mean, every stack is going to be somewhat owned, but I think Houston's probably going to go a little bit underowned just facing the Yankees, but it's a good matchup for them facing a left-handed pitcher and that, so either Bregman or Aledmus Diaz.
Okay. I'm also, just a side note, I'm looking at all these like multiple position eligibilities on FanDuel. It's crazy. Like second, short, third. So many of these guys have 3 positions here.
Yeah. It is. I mean, it's a really interesting day because I think it's going to be like kind of difficult to use all of your salary. And so I think people are going to tend to gravitate way more towards the higher priced guys. And that could lead to some really outsized ownerships like we're seeing with like Aaron Judge. Like I think we have him projected at about 50% ownership, and I actually think he will probably hit about 50%. And that just may not be realistic for a hitter who can, go 2 for 4 with 2 singles, or they can just say we're not going to let Judge beat us with Stanton out of the lineup, and they could be walking him 3 times, and then he's not that likely to hit the optimal lineup, and he's like over 50% owned. So like I said, they'll bet him to hit a home run, and I aim to be a little bit under the field on any 50% owned hitter.
Well, when you're filling out your lineup and at the very end, you're like, okay, I've got $1,000 left for this last guy. Like you always feel like I might as well go get Judge,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what drives ownership is people are sitting there and maybe rather than completing a stack, they're like, well, rather than, like playing Joey Wendell or whatever, like I can put in Aaron Judge in that utility spot. Like I definitely want to play Judge. But then when Joey Wendell hits the home run and Judge just gets 2 walks, I mean, that's the differentiator in your lineup.
Yeah. I meant 10,000, not 1,000, by the way. I don't want people calling me out. Okay. Anyways, let's keep this rolling here. Let's go to shortstop.
So shortstop, like I said, Javi Baez, he's one of those guys that we've got projected for close to 50% ownership, but I'd be surprised actually if he gets to that number, just because he plays for Detroit and the lineup won't be out probably by the time people are making their lineups. Like Aledmus Diaz, if you want to go with somebody that I think will be a little bit lower owned, Josh Smith, I think is leading off for Texas. So he's probably going to get an extra at bat, like him if you're playing a Ranger stack. Not that strong of a position, honestly. Maybe like Marwin Gonzalez. If you're playing a Yankee stack, maybe he fits in as a really low-owned Yankees piece.
Okay, that leaves us with the outfield. What do you like?
See, outfield. So yeah, like Judge is going to be super, super high owned. Yeah, with them at more than 50%. I'd fade that. I'd play like maybe Kyle Tucker in his place, because Tucker doesn't have the platoon advantage. I think that might drive some people off, but he can still obviously hit a home run. You're probably gonna be facing the bullpen. I think the Detroit guys will be a little lower owned. So Riley Green, Robbie Grossman, all those guys in play. Again, the lineup's not out, but so that'll drive down ownership. And then we're seeing a lot of ownership on the Oakland guys. I don't know about that. Like Ramon Laureano, I'd look to be underweight at like a 50% owned Ramon Laureano. And I probably like Oakland the least of all the team stacks, just because I think Skubal is a decent pitcher and the offense just isn't very good. It might put up some runs. Its chances of really being the highest scoring lineup probably aren't that high. There's just too many holes in the lineup.
Okay. Anything else you want to add here? If not, we're going to sign on out.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think, it's pay some attention to ownership, just because it's a very undifferentiated slate. Anything can happen. It's only 3 games, 6 teams. I'd look to really go overweight some of the lower owned guys, and don't be afraid to fade somebody like Aaron Judge. Because he can hit 2 home runs and then your lineup is sunk. But at 50% ownership, I mean, he's probably not like 50-something% likely to end up in the winning lineup. And you can substitute somebody like Joey Gallo. Also, has the potential to hit 2 home runs, but it's probably going to be much slower owned.
Okay, great stuff. For myself and for Squirrel and for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. That was your Lineup HQ Breakdown Show. We're going to be back to our regularly scheduled program with Crunch Time and everything else tomorrow. But Squirrel, as always, man, appreciate you jumping on.
Sure.
Yeah, and thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you. We love you, and we will catch you tomorrow. We're out.